Hi, welcome back to me painting every single piece of furniture in my apartment because I have too much time on my hands. This is exactly what it looks like. I want to paint my dresser. If you haven't seen all of the videos on my channel, first of all, I highly recommend you check them out. My first video that I posted on this channel involved me documenting the process of painting my dining room table while I was stuck in quarantine for 2 weeks. A couple months ago, I started a job as an associate attorney, and within 5 minutes of stepping into the office on my first day, I was exposed to COVID by people who were not wearing masks and who decided that they'd rather show up and work in the office than staying the fuck home because they had COVID and thought that, maybe they would want to expose me and everybody that I see during the pandemic to said coronavirus. Needless to say, I don't work there anymore. And because I had to quarantine for 2 weeks to not kill the only 4 people that I do see during this pandemic, I was going a little bit stir crazy during that time and decided along that 14 days that I had to stay by myself in my apartment that I wanted to paint my dining room table, which was very old and very dingy looking at that time, and I wanted to give it a little bit of a facelift. And by facelift, I mean paint all over it with an elaborate collage of all of my favorite things that took several days to put together. Long story short, it turned out to look really awesome. I was very surprised with how good it looked, and I documented the latter half of the process of me putting this project together after I determined that it wasn't going to look like an absolute train wreck in the first couple days of working on it. And that's essentially what kickstarted my YouTube channel. I really enjoyed putting that video together and editing the video, and it's been a really wonderful, positive, healthy coping mechanism and hobby for me to kind of de-stress at the end of what has been a couple chaotic months in my life. And I want to do that again, but with this dresser. I'm not quarantining right now. I'm fully vaccinated, so I'm free to go outside and interact with the rest of the humans in the world. But I just feel like doing this to my dresser regardless because I just fucking want to. Kind of like my dining room table, this was a piece of furniture that was graciously given to me for free by somebody who no longer wanted it. My friend Steven was an RA at college, and he was moving to DC and wanted to get rid of this dresser, which looks suspiciously like the dressers that I had at John Carroll in my dorm, so I don't know if he stole it or how he acquired it, but it looks literally the exact same, so I don't know if this is like stolen goods or something that I've been harboring in my apartment for 3 years, but whatever. I want it to kind of look not like a college dorm dresser because, as you can see, it looks very used. It looks kind of old and dingy, similar to my dining room table. It has that weird yellowish oak colored wood, and it just looks a little bit blah. And I would like it to look not blah because a lot of the things in my apartment are very much not blah. I have some ideas of what I want to do. I am going to go ahead and start working on that, and hopefully by the end of this it turns out not bad. This is my dresser. It's got 5 drawers, as you might be able to tell. As you can see, a perfectly fine dresser. There's nothing structurally wrong with it. There's nothing functionally wrong with how it works or how it operates. It sits well in my bedroom, and it served its purpose beautifully for the past several years that I've had it. However, what the heck? Are you okay? Hello. I know, you're so mad at me. So structurally, it works perfectly. Aesthetically, as you can tell, it looks exactly like basically everybody's freshman year dorm dresser, which makes me wonder if Steven stole this from the dorms at John Carroll. It looks very much like cheap dorm furniture, and it's got the same ugly yellowish light color wood stain that my dining room table had. And when you have something like that that's a light color and the finish wears off after having it for a long time and having it be kind of old and used, it starts to look very dingy and dirty and starts to look kind of dank and gross. So that's kind of why I want to paint it too. It just feels like it needs a little bit of love and care and, a bunch of nonsense painted on the front of it. So here's my game plan. I don't want to paint all of this. I don't want to paint the entire thing because I feel like that would be a lot of work and it would require a lot of creativity to not only paint something, but paint something that could work in 3 dimensions, not just on one surface, but, on the back and front and top and everything like that. I don't necessarily want to do that unless if it looks absolutely ridiculous to just have the drawers painted, then maybe I'll paint a solid color on the sides. But for now, I think what I'm going to do is just paint the front. that is very much subject to change, but we will see how it goes. So I'm just going to paint the 5 drawers and then the little gap in between maybe. I also was trying to figure out when I was planning this project is how I'm going to design whatever it is I'm going to put on these drawers. I have thought about whether I should do one giant cohesive painting on all 5 drawers or whether I should do 5 separate paintings or patterns on each of the drawers. Now, it would definitely be easier to plan just doing each drawer individually, just because I don't have to worry about it continuing onto another separate surface that has a little gap here. I also think that might be kind of busy, and I have a vision for how I want it to look, and how I want it to look is one large mural. Bear with me here. So I think I'm going to do an entire cohesive plan. I'm going to try sketching it out first, and if it doesn't look that good, I'm going to try with a pencil first, and if it doesn't look good as one picture, then we might have to revise the plan. But so far, I'm planning on doing one big thing across all 5 drawers. I also wanted to figure out what exactly am I going to paint on all 5 drawers. That's a very loaded question. So my initial thought when I was planning out what to do was to do something similar that I painted on my dining room table. Here's a picture if you haven't seen that video, and again, go check that out, please. Essentially, as you can see, it's one large collage of things that I like and graphic designs and things like that down the center of the table like a runner, and then the opposite ends of the table are like a galaxy effect with some stars and shit in there. I love how that turned out, and if I hadn't just did that on my dining room table, I would in a heartbeat do something like that on this dresser. However, because the table is so unique looking and it's such a feature in my dining room, I don't want to do that on multiple pieces of furniture in my apartment because I want it to stand out. I want it to be special. I want it to be a topic of conversation, and I feel like if I have that repeated throughout my apartment, it'll feel less special and it'll feel kind of boring or redundant or busy too, because it's a lot to put on a piece of furniture. However, I do still want to do something that feels very personal and very much a reflection of my style, my aesthetic, things that I like, but maybe just not that execution or that particular look and effect. What I'm thinking here is I'm going to do like a whole galaxy effect on all 5 drawers, like paint it black and then do some sponges with purple and blue and red and other colors to make it look like outer space, and then paint in some things that I like from shows and movies that take place in outer space and paint them in. For example, like the Death Star from Star Wars, or the Planet Express spaceship from Futurama, maybe a little Marvin the Martian somewhere, or like an Among Us character that's floating off into space after having been voted off. So that's my initial plan. I think that could look kind of cool because it still speaks to stuff that I like, but it's different. And I think that could be kind of fun. So what I'm going to try to do now is I'm going to sand the drawers down and try to sketch out a rough idea of how I want the placement to look and everything. Hopefully it'll turn out okay, because I really think it could look cool. Okay, here goes nothing. Oh my god. Should I take my clothes out? It's acrylic paint, it'll come out. I should definitely put something down on the ground in case I splatter paint, right? Hi. So as you can see, my dresser is now black. At least the drawers are black, which already I think it kind of makes it look a little bit more interesting than it did before. I don't know if that's interesting in a good way, but you know, we'll just say that it is for the purposes of this video. I did a couple layers just because when I used the sandpaper that I had on hand, it was a finer grade of sandpaper and it didn't take the finish off quite as well as I would have liked. So I had to do a couple layers in order to make it opaque and not have it be streaky and have bits of the wood underneath showing. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start using different tools that I have at my disposal to create the galaxy effect of the outer space look that I'm trying to achieve for this project. Now essentially what that means is that I have a couple different colors of blues, purples, reds, greens, and I'm going to layer them on top of each other to create kind of a outer space looking feel to this canvas that I have here. The only caveat with that is that I don't have the desired tool that I would like to have for this project, and rather than waiting until tomorrow morning where I could go to Michael's because I have the day off tomorrow and just picking up a nice art sponge that I could use to sponge on these colors nicely and seamlessly and beautifully, I'm just going to use what I have at my disposal now because I don't want to wait that long, okay? I'm not going to do that, obviously. So I have a couple alternative tools of what I'm going to use to achieve this. And if it goes really badly, then I'll just paint it black, pretend it never happened, and then go to Michael's first thing in the morning and get the art sponge and just pretend that it never happened, okay? Option one, just a larger brush, like something like this. As you can see, it's a little bit bigger than the detailed ones that I usually use, and I just kind of like smash it into the canvas and achieve a similar kind of splotchy, blended kind of color effect that you can layer on top of each other. It's not ideal and it's probably not good for the brush, but I've done it in a pinch before and it looks okay. The trick is to just not put a ton of paint on the brush when you do it and just kind of like swirl it and smoosh it around to make it look random and not like paint strokes. Another option, and I don't know if this is going to work, kind of hesitant to do this because I need to replace my kitchen sponge like immediately. I'm thinking I might use this traditional cleaning sponge. It's not the same texture as a sponge that you would use for painting. It's very tough and it doesn't really absorb a lot of stuff, and the holes are much smaller than what you would use or what I have used for painting purpose. It also has the scrubby part on the back, and I don't think that adds any artistic value whatsoever. However, it is a sponge technically. I'm going to try using the brush first, and if the brush just goes horribly wrong, we're going to switch out with this, and if it goes really, really wrong, I'm just going to go to Michael's in the morning and just pretend that this never happened. Okay. Here are the colors that I have picked out. These are just basic black, whites, and grays, our neutral colors. We got our purples and blues. This is a metallic purple. We got a bunch of different blues and greens, and this is like a nice plum purple. I love this color. These are a couple metallics that we have here. This is like a really satiny sheen teal color, which I love, and this is a royal blue that's also very satiny and glossy looking. And then over here I have some pinks and reds, and this is again a metallic one. I'm going to start off with this satin blue. It's the Fluid Art Ready to Pour acrylic paint in the color True Blue. So if that means anything to anybody, that's what that is. I just think I'm going to use a sponge. I don't know why I'm getting like bad vibes using the brush, but I'm going to go ahead with the sponge. No, I'm not. Should I? I don't know what to do. Ooh, I don't know if I should do like a tester with this. Maybe like cut it in half. I'm gonna cut it in half. Okay, so I cut the sponge in half. I don't know if that made anything better or worse. Here goes nothing. Okay, let's keep going. Could be worse, right? So this is what I have so far. I had to turn my phone off for a couple minutes so that I could, you know, like charge it and shit. This is basically what I have done thus far. It's a lot of layers of dark blue and then light blue on top and then some purple on the edges and a little bit of this cherry colored red to kind of deepen up the redder hues that you see like here. Basically what I'm doing is continuously layering and layering and layering and kind of blending it in. If you've ever done foundation, liquid foundation before, it's just kind of like dabbing that shit in until it blends in with your skin. And that's basically what I'm doing with this. You know, I start splotching it on and then if you hear jingling, it's my cat. Layering it on, it looks very colorful and bright initially, but as soon as you kind of layer it and blend it in with the rest of the colors you have going, it creates more of a natural looking effect. So far, it looks okay. The thing about this technique is that it looks terrible until it doesn't, and it usually stops looking terrible at the last possible second. So what I'm going to continue to do is just add in some more color and some more blue hues and kind of soften these edges up and continue to blend and continue to layer things until we have a more natural looking effect going. It usually doesn't start looking like a galaxy or outer space kind of effect until you add the stars and the little details at the end. So once I start doing that, it'll start looking a little bit more purposeful. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the parts of this project that will make it not look like a bunch of oil on asphalt in the middle of a road on a congested street. So basically what that means is I'm going to make a mess in my apartment. Actually, I'm going to take this brush right here and I'm going to take some white acrylic paint and just flick it and like go like this. So I'm just going to kind of flick it at my little project here, and essentially that's going to create like very, very fine splatters of paint that'll look like a bunch of like stars and shit, and it'll make it look a little bit more like a galaxy effect. So that's what I'm going to do, and then afterwards I'm going to add like a little bit more pronounced stars and dots and stuff to make it look more like a solar system or whatever. So that's what I'm going to do now, and then we'll go from there. Just get like a tiny bit on your brush, and then voila! I've made worse things. So this is my effort after a few hours now. I am nearing the point where I want to start adding the final detail. I am a little hesitant, I'm not gonna lie, because I think this came out pretty cool, but I don't want to fuck that up. This took a decent amount of time and I am now out one kitchen sponge. Don't want to go with something and have it suck and then I have to like repaint an entire drawer in order to make it look good. I'm going to go ahead and start adding on the little details in the interest of keeping this a little bit more cohesive and a little bit less chaotic. I'm going to make all of the little details and the little ships and everything that I put in black and white, just so that I'm not taking away too much from the overall effect, because I really like how this looks and I don't want to introduce like a bunch of crazy colors. Oh my god, hold on. I couldn't grab my camera fast enough, but Lulu just brought me a toy. Thank you. Okay, ready? Okay. There she goes. Lulu, where's the toy? Lulu. You have to bring the toy. This is embarrassing me. Ah! It's like molten fucking lava. Should not be allowed to sell those to children because that was actually very painful. It's hot. It's done. It's 3 in the morning right now. I think I started at like 8 o'clock last night. So it's been about 7 hours or so. It's completely done. It's polyurethaned, it's dry, everything is all good to go, and I'm completely finished with this dresser. I don't know why it only took 7 hours to do, whereas everything else I paint takes like several days for some reason, but it's done. My dresser is looking just, and I'm really stoked about it. So I'm going to show you guys what I did, and I actually have a little bit of a twist that I've added to the project. So let's just take a look-see here. Is it necessary? Obviously. Does it make the dresser look any more classy? Yes, 100%. But anyways, that's gonna be it for me. I'm actually amazed that I was able to collect the footage for a video over the span of one night. I don't think this has ever happened to me before, especially for something as large as this project, but I'm not going to complain. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to see more from me, make sure to like and subscribe, and let me know down below in the comments what you think of my video and of my dresser and what you want to see more from me in the future. In the meantime, I'm going to go play with my cat because otherwise she's going to murder me in my sleep. So, okay, bye.